Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Sun Life Organics. Love, heal, and inspire. Sun Life Organics is a juice bar that has locations all across the United States, providing only the highest quality organic ingredients. I love it. Personally, I go just about every day. My favorite smoothie is the Holy Cow. It's packed with 50 grams of protein, and it always helps me recover. Go find one near you. Another official sponsor of today's podcast is Noble Origins. Noble is a grass-fed beef protein complex, utilizing everything in the cow from nose to tail. It's personally my favorite protein. I like the vanilla the best. I like to mix it with raw milk. That is my favorite combination, but the chocolate is also amazing. I also had mentioned with additional sponsor, Sun Life Organics, that they have a shake smoothie called the Holy Cow. They also utilize Noble protein in order to hit that 50 grams in that shake. So again, go order it. Check them out, nobleorigins.com. Use code ADY for 15% off. Love y'all. Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. I'm so pumped to be here today. I don't want to say manifested, but like dreamed of this moment for a long time, probably all the way back to January of 2020. And I would say that like when I created the podcast and I was fortunate enough to have that blessing, I had a list of dream guests, people I wanted to have a conversation with. And there was 3 people on that list, and you're one of them.
Who are the other 2?
Mike Tyson.
Stud.
And Lance.
Okay.
Those are my...
We'll go crush a workout with him next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Buckle up, though.
Yeah, I will. I'll prepare.
That guy, he's got a motor on him.
I'll make sure I'm strapped up top, too. Yeah, make sure I'm... just this close to the mental asylum. Yeah, it's a good place to be. But to intro you, man, and I've went back and forth on this. Before I even know you were going to come on the show, I was like, how would I intro this guy? Like, I've listened to, I believe, just about every podcast you've ever been on. I've read the book. And I'm like, you know what? When I think of you and what drew me to you back in January of 2020 was this life of service. When I first got sober, July 2020, that's all I heard in these rooms. Be of service, be of service, be of service. It was ingrained in me. I moved to Austin in October of 2020. I sent you a DM January 2020. And it's funny, I read back into our DMs on Instagram, and it was like, hey man, just moved to Austin. I know, or I think you're local to this area. I'd love just to like say hi to you at some point. Like that was the gist of it.
Yeah.
And I tell that part of the story because if you're out there and you have these dreams, these visions, these goals, like just keep working. Because one day you might be sitting down with your dream guest, right, and having this conversation. So without further ado, Mr. Tim Kennedy.
My friend. Great workout.
Great workout this morning.
I like that you got chalk on your hands.
Yeah, I felt like we had to get after it.
That's good.
That was the coolest thing, actually, and I'll tell the audience that story real quick. We actually met in that parking lot officially. I was
during a Go Ruck event.
A
bunch of studs, people finishing 26 milers and 100 mile, like just stud humans.
Yes. Yeah, it was incredible.
Of course you're there.
And I walked over and I saw you, and I knew, like, you ever like meet people and you're like, okay, that is who it is, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I absolutely.
Completely separated from a social media presence, from a book, from any press, anything. Like that is who that is. You gave me one of the warmest welcomes that I've had in a long time, and it just felt like, okay, this is it. This is that person.
Yeah. I don't want to. There's some really smart people out there, and they have like sticks. You know, I'm not smart, so I don't have a stick.
Yeah.
You know, like what you see is what you get.
Right.
Flawed, imperfect dude trying to figure it out, and and fortunately recognized thanks to amazing people around me that. You said it, service is like the greatest thing for both yourself selfishly and for everyone else around you.
Yeah.
Like anybody can be an asshole. Mm-hmm. Like it's awesome when you can be good and healthy and kind and graceful.
Yeah. And I think there's so much even in that conversation that's shocking to me is like, I feel like I'm sitting here with probably one of the deadliest humans I've ever met. Right. That's how I feel.
Well, maybe to a razor looking at my leg hair.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, you know, you're this extremely kind person. That's how you come off.
Yeah.
But I also have the awareness to know that like with that kindness, there's darkness, right? And I feel that same way about myself. I'm anywhere near the level that you're at as far as like, call it deadliness. I'm pushing for that, but it's this thing of like this polarity. Everything has polarity, right? And I think it goes with like love too. Like you can love more if you've been hurt more.
Oh yeah.
Right? The deeper you've been hurt, the deeper your love. The deeper your pain, the deeper your success or your progress.
Yeah. Like, can you appreciate food unless like you've tasted some shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like I've had a lot of bad coffee in the Army.
Yeah.
I really like good coffee now.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a psychopath about it because I've had so much bad.
Yeah.
I've had so many bad relationships. Now that I have an amazing woman that I have an amazing family with, like I should probably appreciate this thing a little bit.
Right.
Like that's how everything is though, you know?
Yeah. And you have to, it's funny as you get older, you start to see those things completely different.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I was not viewing life any of that type of way. I was completely off the rails, lost.
Yeah.
And it's funny as you grow up, I'll even say like for men, I really believe this. I think we grow up at a later age. Like I think it's scientifically proven.
Mid-30s.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. It's like,
maybe mid-40s when you're a little dumb. It takes extra time. This guy right here.
Extra time, extra effort, right? And I think with that effort, there's a lot of reflection that's involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you push so hard and still have time to reflect? When do you do the reflection? And I'm kind of in that stage of life right now where it's like, I was telling you when we were at the gym, we were talking about sleep, right? Something as like simple as sleep.
Yeah.
That one thing can shift all progress, right? And how much you're actually optimizing in life. As you get older, you recognize that. In my 20s, it was like, I don't need that.
I did not.
Right. We don't need to do that.
Well, I mean, that's what we said.
Right.
Right. How wrong were we?
Right. Because you gave an example of someone who you'd met at the gym who optimized that and can perform at the same level as a lot of these elite people.
Let's just give her a shout out because
Let's give her a plug.
I can't not do the service of, and she's just an absolute no quit. Swipe Instagram. I won't swipe. Why won't the swipe? Because we have one bar. Of course we do. Never mind. Everyone on it, you guys, the High Rocks team, you guys are studs. There you go.
I'll find her and we'll plug her in the show notes.
Yeah.
That'll be the best way to do it. But yeah, I think that just as you get older, you just learn. So I've tried to not necessarily attach myself to people, but find people that have learned ahead of me and try to learn from them.
Yeah.
And I'm trying.
That's what a smart person can do, right?
Right.
And that is such a superpower. I just had this conversation with my 10-year-old son. You know, I was like, man, you have a bunch of like you don't even. Yesterday he comes and boxes with me. There were 10 professional athletes in there, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, couple of professional fighters, couple of world champion jiu-jitsu dudes, and that were just working out. And you know, like they're giving him little things, and he's not listening to them. You know, he's 10 because he knows everything.
Right.
You know, and true wisdom is being able to learn from somebody else's mistakes. Like I clearly am not wise because I and that poor dude is going to clearly have to learn the same way that I did, which is like through pain. And it's going to be one or the other. You're either going to be smart enough to learn from somebody else. In Ranger School, we got two kinds of Rangers. We got a hard Ranger and we have a smart Ranger. These are the only two that graduate. And sometimes very rarely there's a hybrid of those two. Obviously, I am not a smart Ranger. I was a hard Ranger. I just learned from like being tough, being dumb, not too dumb to quit, and you know, like too hard to kill. So I'm going to graduate. It is a superpower when you can learn from other people's mistakes. And like, I hope that for my kids. I hope that for the rest of my life, I'm 50, I'm 50% the way through my life. I'm hoping that I can learn through other people's mistakes instead of my own.
Yeah, I think the key to that and what I'm learning is it's about learning from people ahead, but it's also about giving to people that are like your children or the generation before us. And I think what's really helped kind of navigate that and improve upon that is our willingness to be vulnerable about our failures.
Yeah.
It took me forever to be able to be like, yeah, I fucked that up. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, this was horrible. Yes, this is
I wrote a book on my failures.
Right.
Like an entire book.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
We're in that same boat together, my man.
Yeah, it's tough, right? But it's also beautiful because if we can figure out a way to give that to the next generation, hopefully by the grace of God, right, they can be at a different level, and they can pass that information down to the next generation. Like, that's service, right? It's this big picture of making everywhere a better place. And I think that once you start to live that life and take away from like the selfishness of it, it is going to be a better place. Yeah. For you, and so like this show, and I've told you a little bit about it, like what are some things that, so like when people Google Tim Kennedy, right, or people, like for me, like the way that I look up to you, like for a long time, before I got to a point of understanding that we all have flaws, right? Because when you're deeply flawed, one of the things that you believe is like there are perfect people and that they just live this perfect life and they're incredible and they're superhuman. But as you grow in that realm, you start to realize like, dude, we all got some shit, man. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you're comfortable or open to talking about that like still like you struggle with today, just to help people out there know that like superhuman Tim Kennedy struggles with it so they're not alone?
Yeah. I'm on the road a ton. I spend 50% of my life away, and for a variety of reasons, whether it's because I have like access to powerful people or I know famous people, there's people that try to get into my life, and I'm a pretty flawed, trusting person. When I say flawed, like I've been embezzled a bunch of times, you know, like I love fast, I love first, like I trust fast, I trust first. And I get burnt pretty bad pretty often. And so especially when I'm on the road and people are in that ecosystem around me, I have had to put legitimate checks and balances in place that prevent girls having access to me. Having a couple of checks and balances before I make any introductions from one person to another person. Like, what is the reason that this person is asking to be part of this thing? Mm-hmm. And how naive is that, and how embarrassing is that as a 46-year-old man, that I have to have other people like proofread my decision making about just the people around me and why they're there. Mm-hmm. I have every DM that comes across my Instagram, like very accessible for, a girl to reach out and be like, hey, I see you're on the road. You're in Washington, D.C. Would love to link up for a cup of coffee tomorrow morning and a workout. Something benign as that. Like, she's asking for a reason. Mm-hmm. I'm not the first person to see that message. And that message will be read and moved to a different folder from me to access. And if I do reply, 2 other people will see my reply, my assistant and my media manager, and both of which work directly for my wife. Mm. That's intentionality. So that is a really, I know that's maybe unique to my life, mm-hmm. but that could go for anyone that is a salesperson traveling on the road. You're going to have the exact same temptations and you're going to have the same offerings and you're going to have the same manipulation as I am. Maybe different reasons for different purposes, but like, it's all the same.
Right.
Am I going to sleep? Am I going to train? Am I going to eat crap food when I'm on the road, or am I going to fast? Like I have to juggle those all the time. Oftentimes I'm like, it's just better to fast. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna drink good water. I'm not going to eat this food in the airport. I'm in the hotel room. Do I pick up my iPad and get on YouTube, start watching some hunting videos and lose 90 minutes of my life? Or am I disciplined, don't even pull it out of my carry-on bag, leave it over there so I can go to sleep, get that extra 90 minutes of sleep so I can wake up and work out? Yeah. It's like, it's hard. Another example.
Yeah.
As a father, your kids do not do what you say. They do not listen to what you say. They become who you are. And that is the hardest thing. Like, you can have all the smart ideas and you can have memorized all of Marcus Aurelius's quotes, and you could have proverbs inscribed and tattooed onto your arms and know how to like drop a great Psalms, at your leisure, but they're still going to look how you treat your wife. Mm-hmm. That is what your daughter is going to view about how a man is supposed to treat a woman. Your son is going to see how hard you work out in the gym, and that is how he knows what it looks like to be disciplined. He's going to know if you are cutting corners on sleep, on nutrition, on device time compared to a book. If you are taking steroids, I can look my son straight in the face, and be like, I fought for the world title 2 different times and I never used a performance enhancing drug, and then he sees me and at 46 years old, still burning it down. And he's like, that checks out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting to me when you say all of that. It's almost like, and not to like throw this back into sobriety, but I've had this conversation a lot around sobriety with people, is like the deeper you get, it doesn't get easier. It becomes much more complicated because your standard is elevated and people watch. Like, I don't care what anyone says. People are watching. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing? Is Tim waking up at 4:30 and going and getting his workout in today? Or is he showing up looking sluggish? Yeah. Right? Or is he, I can tell when someone walks into a room if they've got after it. Like, it bleeds off of them. It's like, no, they're good today. Right? Yeah. They carry that with them. And I think that as you elevate that standard, your kids are watching, your wife's watching, your friends are watching, but there's also somebody else's little kid. And that's what hammered me. Like that shifted everything for me. I don't have my own children yet. My dream is to be a husband and a father. Mm-hmm. It's the most important thing in the world to me. But I last year got to go home and talk to kids in the public school system and spend time with them. And one kid came up to me and he was like, man, every morning I keep going because I see your Instagram story and you ran 10 miles. And I was like, you have no idea what you just did. Right? It unlocked this thing in my head. Like, I have to get it. I have to get after it because I'm failing that kid in Roanoke, Virginia if I lay in bed for another hour. I'm letting him down. And so people don't understand it. It's a blessing. It's this beautiful thing. It unlocks this next level of like, just push. But to say that it doesn't come with weight is a lie. Yeah. Right? There's definitely a weight there. But what a blessing to be able to have that, right? To have that additional pressure. And I can't imagine it on your level. Like, I just can't. Like, I can't imagine, like, you have to get after it. Okay, cool. You get the next version of pneumonia. Like, okay, you still got to go get after it because people are tapped in. And they're going to talk shit. And, like, I don't know if you're like me with this, but, like, I welcome that. I'm like, give me a little more. Give me a little more. Because that's what tunes me into that dark side. It's like, I'm going to press even harder. Yeah. Like, watch this. And so I kind of feel that energy from you at times, for sure. And I think that's another reason I'm drawn to you, because I don't think a lot of people will look at that and be like, that's improper masculinity, right? He's emasculating other men, or he's downgrading them. And I'm like, maybe. But why is that my problem? Yeah. Right? Maybe it's their problem. So I'm very interested in your perspectives. I've listened to it a lot, but I wanted to bring it to this platform because I think a lot of people that might listen to this platform might not have heard these things on some of the other platforms you've been involved with. Yeah. But I get hit a lot in my DMs over this, like, you're too aggressive with your masculinity. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I am just trying to be the best man I can be. That's how I view it. Yeah. And I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. And I'm a firm believer that the greatest feminist on earth is the most masculine man. Like, that's how I connect those two dots. Meaning, like, the better man that I am, the more I can protect women. And I'm just interested in your perspective on today's current state of, like, where we're at in this masculinity conversation.
I wrote a thing. Can I read a thing I wrote yesterday?
100%.
I'm here for men to be men again. And I said, there's been a war on masculine men for decades. Weak men are easier to govern. Weak men are easy to manipulate. Weak men are easy to control. Weak men are easy to attack. Weak men are easy to steal from. And weak men are easier to kill. Dads have to be strong, but they also have to be present. Strong, masculine, and actively participating in their communities, and family men are the backbone of a thriving society. They provide stability, protection, and leadership. Their physical and mental fortitude drives progress from building infrastructure, defending communities and freedoms. Their discipline and courage inspires others to rise above adversity. Make no mistake, there's been a systematic attack. It's time we embrace and celebrate masculine characteristics like responsibility, honor, and resilience. From this position of strength, there's a culture of accountability, and it's balanced with compassion and decisiveness. In a world of uncertainty, these men are the anchor to their families and their societies, ensuring a foundation of growth and security. I love that you said the most masculine version of myself creates the opportunity for feminism. Like that, a woman in her beautiful feminine realization and like the full embodiment of that beautiful thing that is a woman cannot exist without men creating a space for them to exist in. Like, call a spade a spade. Every single law that exists in this world ultimately is enforced by a system created by men and then enforced by physical force or the threat of physical force by men, period. So I got it. You love your job as an attorney and like you got to go to a great school. That is possible because men built that building.
Right.
Because men built an economic system that provides that opportunity for you to, and I'm here for, I'm a father of 3 daughters.
Yeah.
Like if they want to be a NASA astronauts, like they sure as hell can be, and they will be if they want to be. But that's on them, and it's on me to make sure that I create an environment that is safe and conducive for them to meet their full potential. And what a great responsibility. But with that power, with that strength, is that responsibility. Like you can't have grace. You can't like selfishly love somebody unless you're in a position of power and authority over that person. You know, like I can hurt this person and they've done something bad, but I've chosen to forgive them and then provide resources to them. That's grace. Like I'm peer, I'm weak, I'm under, I can't do anything. I can't provide anything. I have no way to damage this person. And I'm like, and they hurt me. And I'm like, oh, well, I just got bullied because I'm a bitch. Like you're not showing them grace.
Right.
You're just weak.
Right.
So instead I'm like, how about, man, you done me dirty. Not only do I forgive you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to excel in something else.
Today's episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Sun Life Organics. Love, heal, and inspire. Sun Life Organics is a juice bar that has locations all across the United States, providing only the highest quality organic ingredients. I love it. Personally, I go just about every day. My favorite smoothie is the Holy Cow. It's packed with 50 grams of protein, and it always helps me recover. Go find one near you. Another official sponsor of today's podcast is Noble Origins. Noble is a grass-fed beef protein complex, utilizing everything in the cow from nose to tail. It's personally my favorite protein. I like the vanilla the best. I like to mix it with raw milk. That is my favorite combination, but the chocolate is also amazing. I also had mentioned with additional sponsor, Sun Life Organics, that they have a shake smoothie called the Holy Cow. They also utilize Noble protein in order to hit that 50 grams in that shake. So again, go order it. Check them out, nobleorigins.com. Use code ADY for 15% off. Love y'all. It's this belief in redemption too, tied into that, right? Yeah. Because people have given me that window. I've fucked up. Yeah. And people have been like, hey, I see you. You want to make it right? Here's the opportunity. This is what I need to see, right? And I think that that's also part of masculinity. And it's holding that standard. It's like if you don't meet it, like, okay, good riddance, like love you to death, bye. But what's interesting about my life and where it's at now, and this is why I'm so excited just to be able to have this conversation with you, is since I've gotten to Austin, I've been on this like almost primal search for community where it's like I'm in the right place. And I've struggled with it, to be completely transparent. I've met some really good people, made some amazing connections. But I've struggled to find this community where it's like, that guy gets me. Like he knows what's going on in my head when he looks at me in the middle of a workout and I'm not saying shit and I'm smiling. Like he knows exactly where I'm at. I've struggled to find that. And that's my pursuit, right? Because that's where I'm at my greatest. That's where I'm at my best, is when I can tap into that around people that can also tap into that, but also in that same realm, as I'm tapped into that, they understand that that's the best version of me and they support it. Right? It doesn't scare them. Yeah. It doesn't make them feel inferior. They want to bring more of that out. And if I can it's easy for me to tap into that in the physical space. I'm trying to tap into that in a business perspective, right? An emotional perspective, a mental perspective, because that's where I grow the most is when I get this like primal excitement of betterment, right? Like it lights me on fire, but it's hard to get there by yourself. But when you're around others that are in that vein, to me, it's very easy to get there because it's like, there's no other option. This is the standard. This is what we're doing. And so just today has filled me with a level of fuel that you don't even understand. Like, so for full transparency, like we had a great workout.
It's fun.
It was awesome. Tim put me through an EMOM. Then we did a little bit of incline press. We did some explosive movements, and then he exposed me on toes to bar. Full transparency. And I love it. And like when we get done recording here, like I promise you, I'm only going to do one thing. Yeah. I'm going right back over there and I'm going to work toes to bar. And the next time you see me, I'm going to be better at it. That drives me. Like that excites me. The exposure of weakness, I think, is what creates a great man, right? Because it gives them something to build upon. But if there aren't great men exposing those things, we can't get better. And I think you're doing that for a lot of people.
Yeah, and learning as I go for my weaknesses and in the military, we do this after action review. Every time that we conduct a training operation or we come back from a mission, the team sits down and we break that operation into segments. And then we look at what did we do right, and those are called sustains. And then what did we do wrong, and those are improves. You have to celebrate your wins. Be like, man, that really worked. This offset infill, where we walked in instead of doing a vehicle assault. Sure, we did that at school, but dogs are barking as we're driving down the street. They 100% know that we're coming. They're getting rid of everything, or even worse, positioning for an ambush or calling QRF. So, which of these two things worked? And as you go through the timeline of the whole entire mission, just looking at things that you did right and things that you did wrong, I think oftentimes we really are just always focused on weaknesses. I think it's important for men to know what we're good at. And we're talking about lacrosse a little bit. Man, you put my son at a 90-degree angle outside of the crease where he's coming around from X, he's going to score 10 times out of 10. Like you either going to have a giant monster like you that's going to put him on his back, or he's going to score because he knows like that is his position of excellence, and he's fast. The stick is an extension of his body. It's like 3 feet longer than he is. So he knows that the angle from the tip of his stick can, even though he can't see the inside of the goal, his stick can.
Right.
It's crazy. And I think so often we're just like, okay, what can I improve on? Where are my weaknesses? But when we go to game time, I'm playing to my strengths.
For sure.
Sure, during fight camp, oftentimes, and this was a mistake on my part, I spent so much time working on my weaknesses that when I go to fight, I was like, have I actually sharpened my strengths? Like, are they as strong as they could have been? Because like ultimately, I'm implementing my game plan on this guy. I'm going to drag him into the deepest depths of the ocean. I'm going to drown him there. Like that's what I want to do because that's my style. If I had my way, I would fight in a telephone booth for 30 minutes. That's what I want. Yeah. Not a big octagon where I chase a dude around, playing like pity patty, no, like dogfight inside of a tiny little space. But how much time did I spend trying to make sure I could play to my strengths, but being aware of my weaknesses? That's a beautiful thing about like a vulnerable, transparent man is like I can identify what I have to work on, but I also know like I'm gonna hit you in the face with a brick.
Yeah. My question for you, I've always wanted to know this. Like you've had these different phases of your life. Like for people that have followed, right? Like you have
a bunch of them.
Yeah. Like we don't have time, right?
Yeah.
we literally don't have time. But out of the bigger ones or the larger ones, right? Just as a man. So like let's take it to the fight world real quick.
Okay.
What man made you want to be the best fighter you could be? Like who was that person?
Ooh.
Who drove you?
Trauma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. That's growing up in rural Central California. When I say California, everybody's like surfer, yeah. LA, Hollywood, San Francisco. No, man. Like my parents' land right now, it's 45 minutes to the first stoplight.
Wow.
Like my city had 28,000 people in it, and probably still does. You know, it was farmland, a lot of garlic, a lot of onions, you know, and California Mid-State Fair in Paso Robles, California. You know, as youth pastor that was a pedophile. It was, you know, first time hearing the N-word to one of my friends that was adopted. I was like, I don't exactly know what that means, but I know I get to fight that guy. You know, it's growing up poor with a dad that with 3 kids in a house that had 1 bathroom, as he's a police officer living on a police officer salary as your mom's homeschooling you. You know, like hardship.
Yeah.
Being in a creek bed underneath a road off of Ensenada and Villa in Atascadero, California. You know, dude's trying to throw rocks at you, and you're like, let's fight. Somebody says something slick to your sister, and you put him through a phone booth.
Yeah.
You're like, this
Yeah.
hard stuff.
So that got you into that, right? And that pushed you in that. What about military Tim Kennedy? Who was there a person, like greatest leader, or a person that you're like, that guy pushed me to be the best version of me?
My uncles, my grandpa, my dad, grandpa, greatest generation, World War II, uncles, Vietnam veteran, my dad, 30-something plus year narcotics officer. Like, they were the standard of what men look like, selfless service, sacrifice. And it was actually feeling inadequate or not capable or not meeting the potential and standard that they had set that really kept a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people want to know, like, or they wonder, and you've been asked this question plenty of times, but it's like, how does a person maintain a level of professional athleticism, but also professional in their own realm in the military, right, at a very high level? It's not like, and every job in the military is incredibly important, right? But there are different levels within that world.
Yeah.
It takes a special human to balance that, a rare human. And I think that drew a lot of people to you, because like when that started to come out, I was like, holy shit, like, dude's different.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me about that
came out on accident.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think, do you want to tell a quick snippet of that? I don't think the audience might not know that.
So when I got to Special Forces, this is peak war. This is, and you know, we were at war for 20 years, and I'm not throwing stones at guys that served from 2010 to 2020, but guys that were in from 2004 to 2010, like those first 6-8 years of GWAT, like, that was war.
Yeah.
Wild West. That's when I got to Special Forces. The day I showed up to 7th Special Forces Group, we were already in PMT, pre-mission train up to go to Iraq. And we're going to be hunting Zarqawi, the #1 bad dude in all of Iraq. While I was in the Q course, so after I went to basic Army training, then went to infantry school, then went to airborne school, then went to this Tritter called the Special Operations Preparation Course. It's just a way to get rid of guys. Then go to selection, got selected, which is like the Army Special Operations version of BUDS. Then you get accepted to go to a year to a year and a half long training course called the Q course. While I was in the Q course, I was moonlighting on the weekends fighting. I was traveling all over the United States. I would take leave for a 3-day pass. I would leave on Friday. I would fight on Saturday. I would weigh in on Friday nights. I'd fly home on Sunday, and I'd show up for PT on Monday morning. And then I would go to small unit tactics. I would go to the 18 Bravo Phase 2. I would go to, like, I did that during the Q course. When I got to 7th Special Forces Group, after I'd go to combat, I'd come back, I would fight. I would come back from my fight, I would go to a school, like Ranger School. Then I'd go overseas again. Then I would come back. Then I would fight. Then I'd go to sniper school. And I would just do this until a command sergeant major was sitting at a bar in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they saw a shaved head kid that had just graduated Ranger School that had also recently come back from Iraq, and it said a Ranger from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. There are no Rangers at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Like, I went to Ranger School, I was never in Ranger Regiment. So a Special Forces guy seeing that is like, this does not pass a sniff check.
Yeah.
Something's off here. So they go and they look on Global and they see that Timothy Kennedy is a staff sergeant at 7th Group. So they call my boss and I have to show up on Monday morning. Like they're watching me live in a main event fight on Fox where I never told Fox or the IFL or the ECC or the WEC what I actually did in the military. They just knew that I was in the Army in some way. And I definitely never told the Army what I was doing on the weekends. And then on Monday morning, standing in uniform with my hands swollen from a fight after I beat the living brakes off this guy, still undefeated in the IFL. They're like, I don't know how to reconcile this, but like the motto is that we're the quiet professionals. I'm like, I've been doing this for 3-4 years. Like you just haven't known about it.
Right.
You know, like I'm fine. And this is like pre-facial recognition stuff. Like I probably could have gotten away with it for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of what are we going to do with a dude that's, you know, undefeated at the time in the International Fight League, and you know, heading over to Strikeforce. This is before the UFC bought Strikeforce, which was like the number 1 or number 2 other organization. While I was in Special Forces, and that was a tough moment.
I bet. Well, I can't imagine like what a debacle, right? It's
Yeah.
like, but I mean, kudos to you for keeping it quiet that long.
Yeah.
And also it shows the difference. Like you train all week and then you fly out, you fight, you come back. You weren't coming back. Like obviously no one knew because you weren't coming back and being like, guess what I did all week? You know what I mean? Silent professional. So
I had some great teammates that also helped.
yeah,
You know,
keep it.
shout out to Ben and Dave and Carlos and
Yeah.
Shane and John.
There's no good life without good people, right?
And I had the best people.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I was such a shitbag, dude.
Yeah.
Those guys, like, I'd be dead 10 times over, and I never deserved to be on those teams with those men.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And I think you just said something that triggered something else, and I'm trying to watch the clock too because I know we don't have a ton of time. There's a question I wanted to ask you that I've asked 3 other guests on the show. We've had 40 some at this point, but like there's a few people that I'm like, I need to know this from them. If you could name 3 things that make the best version of a man, like qualities, characteristics in that wheelhouse, what are Tim Kennedy's 3 things?
Yeah. Strength and power as one, without a doubt. Grace and selflessness as a second one. And that's the yin and the yang for those 2 things. You're an asshole if you're just strength and power, and you're just weak if you're just the latter.
Yeah.
It's like those 2 things complement each other. And then the third is a life of purpose. Like, why be powerful and strong, and why be kind and have grace if there's not a point to it?
Right.
And that purpose is different for a lot of people. I love the Lord. You know, like that's an important part for me. I would, like, a lot of people are on the Israel, Gaza Palestinian thing, always asking like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, are you a Zionist? You know, I just put myself, what I would do for my family if, somebody had kidnapped and taken my family and put them in a bunch of, like, I'm burning everything to the ground. I'm leveling the whole entire place. It's scorched fields. It's scorched earth, salted fields. You know, I have new beachfront property in Gaza.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I have. But because I love them so much, because they are part of my purpose, my being a protector of my family. So I can, like, my kids have never seen a harsh hand from me, not once ever. You know, I can be strong, but I can be loving. You know, but they won't know that love is soft and gentle, that these hands are. They're calloused, and my knuckles look the way that my knuckles do as half gorilla. Like, I'm an ogre troll. They've never seen anything besides, like, if I wish my little 5-year-old was here, and I was like, Torn, come here. Torn Claire, come here. Even though I could just use her first and her middle name, she knows she's not in trouble.
Yeah.
She comes in, I'm like, I love you. And she's like, oh, stop it. I already know that. You know, she's just immediately sass, and she can have the biggest personality because she knows that she's safe, because I've created an environment with power and strength and lethality. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, I'll wear your face.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wear your skin as a birthday suit if you get near my kids. And because of that, and everybody knows that, like if you're a figure skating coach for my daughter, you know who Tim Kennedy is.
Yeah.
You know, you're the lacrosse coach, you're the hockey coach for Rolo. Like Rolo's dad is Tim. And Tim will support you. He'll do everything for you. He'll bring, a coffee for you on those long weekends. I'm going to be up at a lacrosse tournament in Dallas this weekend. I got a cooler, sparkling waters and Gatorades for the coaches. I got, I'm going to do anything I can. But I'll break their legs with pipes in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
If they don't do my son solid.
Well, that's to me that's the epitome of masculinity. If you can't be both, you're not a man.
Hold on. This is my wife.
This is important.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Nothing. Hey, I'm just finishing up a podcast. Can I call you back in a minute? Perfect. All right. Love you. I'll call you in a couple minutes. Bye. The call. Oh, yes.
It's perfect.
I got this photo shuffle. Every hour, I get a new photo on my phone.
That's cool.
Yeah. You get to pick the people, so it's like my kids, and so sick.
Keeps you going. It's your purpose.
Yeah. Every time I pick up my phone.
So the last question I want to ask you, man. And this is just a belief of mine, but I kind of want to know if you're in alignment with it. And I've wanted to ask you this question for years. I think that maybe not the greatest, but one of the greatest killers of men is the lack of purpose that you just talked about. The men that I talk to that are the most lost, they don't have that. They can't, and it's like they can't find that, and they're searching for it, and I don't have the perfect answer to like help them find that purpose.
Yeah.
The way that the analogy I've gotten to with it is like, have you ever had a pizza show up to your door that you didn't order? Right? Are you calling it in? Are you doing the work?
Yeah. I'm 100% in alignment with you here. Like, you want purpose. What are you doing work-wise to find it? Mm-hmm. Like, somebody's not going to come up and like give you on a silver platter, like, this is the reason why God made you.
Right.
Like, what you're going to start doing is selflessly starting to help others and work for others. And in that work, imagine this, work for a man. These are two things that have to exist for men. Then the purpose becomes revealed. Like, go and insert any modality where you are selflessly working for other people, and purpose will be revealed. Like, you want to find purpose? Go into the military, because those motherfuckers will make you work like a dog. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about indentured servitude? Military. Like it's slave with a contract, and right. They give you purpose though.
Yes.
And you go to a team that has an awesome culture. You are going to win this championship. That is your purpose. And then you're surrounded by people that share that purpose, but that purpose and that culture doesn't become revealed except through the work. Like, you see the dude that's sitting there putting in the rounds, that's putting in the work, that's putting down the sweat, that there's nothing but just this disgusting snail line of his sweat on the ground after every single training session. Like, that guy gets to stay. That dude over there playing on his phone, shooting Instagram because he's on the team, first dude to get cut.
Yeah. Yeah, I find complete alignment there. And I think that you talked earlier about how to be selective with your circle. And that's something I've worked on. And this sounds, I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's just been my choice and it's been my decision. Specifically when it comes to men. You want to be in my circle, like, I got to work out with you.
Yeah.
Period. And I don't care if you can't keep up. It's not about that. I care if you quit.
Yeah.
And that's become like the intro.
100%.
That's been the intro. It's
you want to do business with me?
Yeah.
You want to work with me? You want me to do R&D for a product? You're going to work out with me.
Yeah.
You're going to go to the range with me.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to spar with me. Like,
right.
You don't have to go onto the mats with me, but like, we're going to go sweat and do a hard thing together. Mm-hmm. And I just want to see I want to pull the curtain back, take a little peek at what's behind the smoke and mirrors that everybody can hide behind.
What's the little things? It's the little things that you pick up on in the workouts too.
Yeah.
Like today, we were on the rower, and we were supposed to do 12 cows every minute on the minute. Well, one round you went 13, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally, unintentionally, didn't fucking matter to me. I was like, well, we were on 13.
Yeah.
And if he's testing me, I'm passing this shit. I'm like at 14, right? But it's like,
and the moment you got on there, I was like, hey, you did extra on here.
Yeah.
You're like, you did extra. I'm like, oh, that was just extra on there. I didn't mean to. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But I look for that.
Yeah.
I crave that because I think that those are the people I want to be around, right? Because you get into business with those people. You don't have to wonder where they're at, what they're doing. Are they tapped in? You know exactly what's happening.
I love, like, integrity is doing the right thing when no one's watching.
Yes.
And doing any workout where we're counting reps, we're counting calories. I'm counting your reps. I'm like, I promise you, I'm going to count your reps. I'm going to do the math for your calories. I'm going to see how many swings you do. I'm going to see how many burpees you do. I'm gonna.
Yep.
And I got a priceless opportunity to take a little peek into your character. How much would you pay to take a little peek at somebody's character?
Yeah, everything. Because you know from that moment moving forward, this person will be in my life or won't be. And that's the most beautiful answer you could ever get. Yeah. People talk about clarity.
Yeah.
Like, give me that.
Yeah.
Like, let me know how to move.
Yeah.
Because then you become unstoppable. Right. Well, man, I know you got to get rolling. I kept you 5 minutes over.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
Fast.
It's meant the world to me. I literally, I never thought I would get to meet someone who I consider to be one of my heroes. And I still go back to the DMs and read that shit, and I'm like, I know you're humble and you're not going to say that, but like, dude, you're impacting millions of people.
Trying.
And men that are like, I want that. Like, how do I get that? Let me push harder. Let me find the work. Let me connect to that. And I think that is the ultimate form of servanthood. And so that for someone who's trying to grow in that and improve upon that, it's an unreal opportunity to get down, like to get to sit down and spend time with someone who I view as the epitome of that. Yeah. So I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. Appreciate the workout. Appreciate the talk.
Yeah.
And I like that we're in Austin. Appreciate the coffee.
Yeah.
So we got a lot more to do.
Yeah, a lot more to do. And it sounds like we got to work out next week.
We do.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. And that's going to wrap for today's episode of the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one.